Hey guys, welcome back. In the past few lessons, we looked at different ways to import traditional database tables into HDFS. We even saw how to perform incremental imports and merge operations. In this lesson, we are going to see two things. First, we'll see how to export the contents from a file in HDFS to a table in MySQL, which is pretty much the opposite of scoop import. Second, we will see how to create a Hive table and load the Hive table with data directly from a MySQL table using Scoop. Sounds good? Let's get started. Let's create a new table in MySQL named stocks_scoop. It is exactly the same table as the stocks table. The only difference is we won't be populating the table with data. Instead, we will use Scoop export to populate the table. So let's go ahead and create this table in MySQL. So I'm going to copy this. Here's my MySQL. There you go. Table is now created. Let's look at the export instruction now. We are saying scoop export, specify the MySQL location and provide the table name in the table option. Here we will provide the newly created stocks_scoop table because we want to export the contents into this table. The export instruction will read the contents from the file in the location mentioned in the export_directory option and will insert the records into the table stocks_scoop. Let's look up the file under the location user HIRW scoop stocks_modified merged because the contents of this location will be exported into the stocks_scoop table. So I'm going to copy this location. Let's do a Hadoop FSLS on this location. So here we see one file with records. Let's do a cat on this file. The records are not ordered, but you can see there are 16 records right here. So at the end, the scoop export should insert all these 16 records into the stocks_scoop table. So let's go ahead and try the export instruction. Copy this. Execute. Let's wait for the execution to complete and then let's review the output. The execution is now complete, and as you can see at the very end of this job, it says exported 16 records. So let's go ahead and verify that. So here's our newly created table. I'm going to do a select star from stocks_scoop. And there you go, 16 records which we inserted using this scoop export instruction. Now that we have seen both scoop import and export, let's see how we can leverage scoop to create and populate a Hive table. We're going to create a Hive table with the same structure as a table in MySQL and populate the Hive table with the records from the table in MySQL using scoop. Take a look at this scoop import instruction. It is pretty much the same like other imports, but you will see two additional options. Hive import and Hive table. In the Hive table option, we mention the name of the table in Hive. Here, I have specified stocks_scoop table in Hive temp database. One thing you can notice here is that we are not specifying the structure of the Hive table that needs to be created. Since we have mentioned Hive import as one of the options, Scoop will create a Hive table with exactly the same structure as the MySQL table we are trying to import if the table in Hive doesn't exist. When you execute this instruction, Scoop will import the whole table into the HDFS directory mentioned in the target directory option. And then Scoop creates a table in Hive if the mentioned table does not exist. In our case, since the table is not available, it will create one and then move the contents from the target directory into the Hive warehouse directory for the Hive table. Before we execute the instruction, let's see whether the table in Hive exists or not. So let me first log into the Hive shell. There you go. I'm going to switch my database to Hive temp because that is where Scoop will create the table. Okay, let's say show tables. And we do not see a table stocks_scoop, which is the table we are trying to create using this scoop import instruction. Now that we have confirmed that the table doesn't exist, let's go ahead and execute the scoop import instruction. Copy the instruction, execute. Let's wait for the job to complete and then let's review the output. Now the execution is complete. As you can see, this scoop import is a two-step process. In the first step, Scoop will import the contents of the table from MySQL into a directory in HDFS. And here is the first step. It retrieves 16 records from table into HDFS. And in the second step, it uploads the data into Hive. That is, it takes the 16 records from the HDFS and move those records or files from HDFS to Hive's warehouse directory for the table. And finally, you will see Hive import complete. So why don't we go back to Hive and execute show tables again. This time we see the table stocks_scoop. So let's do a select on this table just to make sure the table has records. There you go. We see 16 records in the table now, which is very good, exactly what we wanted. Let's do one more thing before we wrap up. Let's do a describe formatted on this table just to see more details about the table. Describe formatted stocks_scoop. And there it is. As you can see in the comments section, you can see it says imported by Scoop. And also you will see this table is a managed table and the files for this table is stored in this location right here. hivetemp.db under the user Hive warehouse directory and finally under stocks_scoop. So Scoop did an extract from the MySQL table and moved the contents into the highlighted directory location right here. And also you can see the column names and the data types for the columns are derived from the stocks table in MySQL. Because if you go back to the instruction right here, we did not specify a structure for the Hive table. Scoop actually derived the structure for the Hive table from the MySQL table. That is it, guys. In this lesson, we saw how to export a table from HDFS to a table in MySQL. And also, we saw how to create and load Hive tables directly using Scoop. That is it for now. See you in the next lesson.